Well, a good Saturday morning to you, and thanks for joining us. Luis Alvarez is with us, as he is every Saturday morning. We get a chance to talk technology. Good morning to you, Luis.
Good morning, Mark. How are you doing today?
Doing well, and excited to talk about our topic du jour, and that is, it really become a fascinating case, this hack that happened at Target. It impacted millions of people, but as more of the details are coming out about this and how it actually occurred, it's really kind of a cautionary tale to everybody about the fragility of our security systems and how it's just like a chain. You're only as strong as your weakest link. And what we've discovered is that it wasn't necessarily anything that Target did in particular that exposed them, but rather it was a third-party vendor that worked for Target. That was apparently the backdoor into their system. Tell us what we learned about this.
Well, it turns out as the investigation into how the hackers were able to access these supposedly secure systems at Target and let loose malware that then was responsible for collecting up all those the millions. I think the last count was 120 million credit card numbers and information from people. The authorities have finally figured out that it was through a back door, an unexpected back door, that they were able to get into Target, and that was through their heating and air conditioning vendor, a company called Fazio Mechanical, and they had credentials, logins, if you will, to the network at Target, and the hackers use those logins to get into the Target systems.
Oh, so they went through this third-party provider, an HVAC company located in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And what they think happened is that, the sequence of events was that the hackers actually got into Fazio Mechanical first, and then they rooted around because those systems were pretty insecure. And in the process, they discovered that Fazio had all these contracts with these retailers, Target, Costco, Walmart, and that they had login credentials to some of those clients. So they stole those credentials and then went about penetrating the retailers. And they chose Target, we suspect, because Target was the easiest of them all. Once they started poking around, they realized that Target security systems weren't all that cracked up, and all that they were cracked up to be.
Okay. What would you recommend that companies do, and what are you telling your clients now about this type of incursion, this type of breach, and how to avoid being victimized the way Target was?
Well, it's funny that there are already rules in place that companies are supposed to be following. So, for example, because they take in credit card information and have customer information, they're supposed to follow the rules of the PCI regulations or PC security regulations, and they weren't doing that. Same way that healthcare providers are supposed to follow the regulations that are dictated in HIPAA rules, and that stands for Healthcare Insurance Portability Act. They lay out how you're supposed to protect yourself by not only securing your systems, but by making sure that if you're using any third-party vendors, that those vendors also are securing their systems. And it's all well and good to put this in writing, but if you don't follow the regulations, as in Target's case, then you're going to be a victim yourself.
So, Luis, what should businesses do specifically?
Well, first and foremost, make sure that you understand who has access to your systems. If you're the owner of a large company or a small company, you probably have a lot of vendors you work with, some software vendors, IT companies like ours that might have access to your systems. Make sure you understand who has access and to what level they have access. Secondly, make sure that those vendors are properly vetted, that you know that they're reputable, that they have insurance coverage to cover any sort of problems that might crop up. Make sure that they have just the level of access they need. Too many times, a company will grant kind of blanket administrative access to their systems, thinking that that's the easiest way to let people get in there. But more often than not, you don't need that level of access. You may need to access a particular folder or a particular database on the network, and that's really what you should limit those vendors to access and not just give them universal access.
Luis, is it possible when you're designing a security system for a client that you can provide various levels of access that they can give to their vendors so that they just don't give them carte blanche administrative access?
Absolutely. We do that all the time for our clients. For many of our clients, we are their IT department. So we handle everything from, providing the day-to-day help desk support to coordinating and managing these third-party vendor relationships. And sometimes those third parties are software companies. For example, if you have an accounting system that's being supported by somebody on the East Coast, those folks on the East Coast might occasionally need access. And we make sure that they get access to the level that they need and that we audit their access. So we know when they're in the system, we know what they're doing, and we limit them to just having access to what they need to have access to and nothing more.
And when you have a client who says, okay, Louis, here are the various vendors that we work with, and these folks all have access to our system, then do you talk to those vendors to just get a little more information so you can better craft their type of access? And also, do you inquire as to them as third-party vendors, well, what type of security are you running on your system? Because if somebody has a very porous system, you might say to your client, I don't know that we should allow XYZ company access into your system because we've checked them out and geez, these guys are wide open.
And in fact, that's particularly true of healthcare providers. Because of the HIPAA rules, we have to do something called business associate validation. So anybody who does business with a healthcare provider, be it a doctor's office or a clinic or even a hospital, that may at one point or another have access to patient records or patient information, is supposed to go through this process that they self-attest that they're following the rules, that they have security systems in place, that they do things like have antivirus and they have strong passwords, all sorts of little particular things. And there's a pretty exhaustive checklist that we use with our healthcare providers to make sure that their third-party vendors are properly vetted. And we're slowly doing the same thing with our non-healthcare clients because security is such an important aspect of what we do nowadays that we want to make sure that if nothing else, our clients are informed about what kind of risks they have and what they need to do to protect themselves.
Louis, I had a couple more things to share with you, get your thoughts on. We ran across these on a tech blog recently. The U.S. Army is going to test an Iron Man-style protection suit this summer. The head of U.S. Special Ops Command said the first prototypes of a new Iron Man-like protective suit could be ready for testing by this summer. And it's an unpowdered prototype. It's called the Tactical Assault Light Operator Suit. How about that?
It's pretty amazing. I knew that was coming. I mean, the idea of improving the armor and the capabilities of the troops out in the field has taken on a great deal of significance, especially with our guys fighting in places where conventional arms aren't the norm. Things like IEDs and things like that are intended to maim, not necessarily kill. I knew that they've been doing some research. I'm surprised that they're rolling it out as fast as they are, but the technology is there, and I don't think you're going to see a guy flying around in a gold and red suit, but the idea of improving the armor and improving the protection of the troops on the grounds sounds great.
Excellent. All right. For anyone who's interested in finding out more about this, you want to talk to the I-Team about security and want to make sure that your systems are secure so you're not victimized the way Target was, just give a call to the I-Team. What's that number, Louis?
And give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.
Thanks, Louis.
Thank you, Mark.